Great. We are in the first exercise, guys. The first walkthrough. This is where we're going to install the Node platform inside the Kubernetes cluster that we will be creating. Okay. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to inspect our VM resources. We're going to validate that the resources that we have available, they're not up to par, right? They don't meet the recommended hardware uh, requirements. Then we're going to start our K3D cluster with ingress traffic. In fact, it always starts, right? We don't have to do anything. The only thing we need to do is configure the ingress traffic. That's it. Then we're going to go ahead and manage the Kubernetes Helm charts. What do I mean by manage? Number one, where do you locate the Helm charts? Okay, or the Helm chart package. Where do we locate all these different files? And there's a few files, quite a few. Okay, where do you place it? So that when you're done with your job, the next person who's going to pick up from you is aware of where to pick up, where to find the different files, right? Locate them uh, in an appropriate folder. There is okay. Uh, for those who are not familiar with Helm charts, I'm gonna do a little bit of an inspection of the different Helm charts, and I'm gonna explain Helm charts in a little bit more detail as compared to what I did in the slides. Okay. Again, it's both those of you who are familiar and unfamiliar with Helm charts will benefit because you're going to see the details, the specifics of the Helm charts for the no-name platform. Okay, but if you already know it, it should be a lot quicker for you. Okay. Then we're going to inspect and configure the Helm values. In particular, I like to provide the value specific for our installation. For example, we need to provide the um, registry, right? The registry credentials to pool all the different containers that are to be deployed in the different pods. Okay, so we need to provide these credentials. We need to go ahead and turn off the recommended requirements for the hardware. If we don't turn them off, we're going to fail in our installation. Okay, we need to turn off the ingress, right? The default ingress configuration because it's not appropriate for a simple installation. Okay, that's what I mean. And as soon as we have all the different values, then we can go ahead and run the helm command to install the non platform. And as soon as we're done with that, the only other thing we need to do is configure the ingress traffic so that we're able to access the non platform from our laptop, right? You remember, you're using a VM, okay? And as soon as we're able to see that, yes, we're able to access the no-name platform, we're good to go. The very first exercise is done. Okay, so very first thing, inspect the VM resources. Actually, log in into our VM and inspect the VM resources and see that we don't meet the minimum requirements. That's the very first thing we're gonna do. Okay. No more slides. I'm closing the slideshow and I need a terminal. So let me get me a terminal. And of course, it's going to open on a different screen. So here's my terminal. I'm going to maximize a little bit. I'm going to increase my font size. There we go. That should be large enough for everybody to see. I may need to reduce the font at some point, but for the time being, this is good to go. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is we need to SSH. And again, I do have SSH. Oh, something before I continue. SSH config. The EC2 timeout, idling timeout is very small. I'll say about 2 minutes. So you idle for 2 minutes because you want to replay a portion of the recordings. You get a timeout and you're gonna be kicked out. Okay. So if you're using SSH, you can go to the .ssh folder. This is for Unix, for Linux or Unix-based system. Like if you're on a Mac OS, probably because it is Unix-based after all, um, you can do this configuration as well. If you create a file called config, right, and you add this line, server alive interval 50, that's 50 seconds. So every 50 seconds, I'm sending a keep alive request, right? So that I don't, so that my terminal doesn't exit. If you're on PuTTY, Google it, right? I know PuTTY has a configuration in the preferences that gives you the ability to also keep alive your connection, so you don't, you're not being kicked out. Okay. So that's the very first thing I want to mention. All right. The next thing is we need to SSH. The username is no name at, and you need your your VM, right? You need the VM that is prefixed with the label no name. Again, you will be getting two VMs. One prefixed with no name label, the other one prefixed with a remote label. You need the one prefix with no name, and I'm going to copy and paste it right after. Okay. And right after this, I'm going to put the password so you have a visual look of what it looks like. So it's no name training one exclamation. That's the password for this account. Okay. All right. I'm going to remove it. If this is the very first time you log in, you will be getting this question. Yes, I want to continue connecting. You only asked for the very first time, right? And now this host is added to the known host file under .ssh, and you're good to go. All right, the password, capital N, no name, capital T, training, one exclamation. We should be able to log in. Good. Uh, if I do an ls-lav, you'll see that you already have the NS302 files, the student files, and they're unzipped. Okay, so they're already present. Okay, they're already present. You already have these files. You don't need to download them. They're present here. We're going to use them at some point in the future. Okay. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my processing power. To do that in Ubuntu, because this is an Ubuntu system, 2204 in case you're wondering, Ubuntu server 2204. If I do an ls CPU, I'll see that I'm only have 8 CPUs. Okay. If I take you back to my slides, or to the slides, where I was talking about the minimum requirements, look, 16 CPUs, 8 CPUs, so we can only install the database pretty much, right? And 16 CPUs. So we definitely don't meet the engine. We definitely don't meet the other components minimum recommended requirements, not minimum recommended requirements. Okay. Okay. The other thing I would like to do is check my memory. Again, remember 32. I have 32 gigs of RAM, which is pretty good, right? And finally, your disk space. df-h, capital H, in order to see how much disk space we have. We have 267 gigabytes. 2% of it is in use. We're pretty good when it comes to the hardware, to the space, okay, to the actual space. We're pretty good there. Okay, so we definitely don't meet the recommended requirements. Our installation is going to fail unless we configure our installation appropriately. Okay, keep that in mind. So let's go back to the slides, because with this, we have concluded the very first section of the first exercise. So section end, guys, section end.